Screen is full screen. No, now, no. Hello, dear friends. Hello, and welcome back to Coffee Wednesday. I am Bryant. I am here, and we are coloring today because coloring is fun, and because everyone should color. And this Sunday is Easter, and whether you believe in the Easter Bunny or the resurrection, either way, it's a great chance to celebrate and just be with people. Well, unfortunately, we can't be with people, but we have ways that we can connect with others, whether they're in our neighborhoods or around town. And one of the ways that I saw pop up on Facebook this week is everybody's been putting different things into their people putting different things into their windows for kids and for families to search for. And so one of the things that I'm going to be putting in my windows are Easter eggs. So kids and families, as they're walking through the neighborhood, can go for their own Easter egg hunt, even though they can't, they can safely physically distance that way. So we are going to be coloring today. I have several different coloring utensils at my readiness. I've got my large bucket of all sorts of different coloring pens that almost every church or educator or somebody has, that they're like, do half of those pens work? Maybe, hopefully. So that might be part of the project today. I also have basically any adult person's favorite gift, which is the Super Tips Crayola pack that has all their favorite colors without all the fancy names. And basically they made markers for adults or for older children who have like the dexterity in their hands and the pencil using skills, so they can color even easier into the lines. So here we go. Also, as always, I have my coffee in my Idaho Servant Adventures coffee mug. Idaho Servant Adventures is out in Pritchard, Idaho. They mostly serve out of Shoshone Mountain Retreat Center, but it's a ministry of Camp Luther Haven in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. They have wonderful, wonderful programs, as well as just a fantastic place to go and enjoy the outdoors. So if you are looking for somewhere to go in Idaho, Camp Luther Haven is the place to go. With that, I think I'm going to try and color this one first. This one's the most intricate of my three. Maybe I won't. I think I'll start with the middle one. Just kidding. I am going to color this one. This right here, this egg, beautiful egg, has all sorts of different flowers on it. And it also has mostly flowers and some other geometrical shapes, which will be nice and complement each other well. So we'll color that one first. And I'm going to start off with my bucket of markers just to see. So let's see. Oh, well, if that isn't the perfect color to start off with, a nice pastel pink. What should I start off with my pink? I think my pastel pink will start with this bottom row of little flowers right here. So how's everybody's weeks been? It's been a little crazy since we've been basically put back on lockdown or on our stay-at-home order until May 4th here in Washington State. But it is fortunately a time when it's kind of difficult because like you want to get outside and you want to like go out and be places, and yet we're told to stay home. So how do we, safely get outside, get the vitamin D that our bodies need, to help fight with, just keeping our immune systems up and all that, but also make sure that we are physically distancing ourselves and taking all the right precautions to stay safe around others. It is no easy task, but it's, we can find ways to do it. I fortunately, at my house, have a really big, nice yard. Now, You might be asking yourself once again, why, Bryant, are you not at home? And I will tell you why. Currently, my house is still a construction site. And right now, they're actually, hopefully, my wonderful, wonderful father in law and either his friend or my brother in law are working on trying to get my new door into my backyard installed. We found that there was no structure underneath the door, which was not a good thing because literally the door was just floating. And the fact that it hadn't fallen off just yet is quite surprising, but it hasn't, and that's fantastic. But they are working, so it's really loud where they're at. And so I wanted to be able to communicate with you. So right now, where my office is at is currently closed to the public and to anybody basically who doesn't have keys. So I am here with my door closed and locked. I washed my hands when I got in here, sanitized my hands once I got in my office even. And now, I'm locked in with nobody else here at the building. And when I leave, I'll wash my hands again, and I'll wash my hands when I get home. Just taking it safe, just doing, what's best for everybody. All right, got a few more of these to color. Now, since this is symmetrical, I'm debating whether or not I'm going to color these top flowers as well, the same pink color, or if I want to do something different just to add more color to my Easter egg. And I think I'm going to add more color and do a different color instead. The other day, in getting ready for this video, I did this one where I kept all the colors, like paralleled them within their geometric shapes, which was fun. And, that's one way to color an egg. But as we have learned growing up, there are many ways to color an egg. So let's see. So that was pink. Let's try, our favorite Mr. Sketch scented markers. Now, I don't know how you grew up or where you grew up or if you were ever privileged to have Mr. Sketch scented markers. We probably did growing up. I can't remember it, but I'm pretty sure we did. We didn't. I know my church did. And this was always a favorite. I think we unfortunately probably did more sniffing of the markers because we thought the smells were so cool than we did of actually coloring. But, you'll lose a couple brain cells, but it smells really good. That's just evil. Okay, so I think we're going to use this one. We're going to color this top row of flowers here, and then I'll show you where we're at. It's funny how patient you become while coloring. Coloring is definitely one of those things that as we've grown older, yes, it brings us back to a time in childhood when things were simpler, but I think it also, we don't realize how meditative it was back then, how much relaxation sometimes it brought us, for some. For others, it could have been a frustration, especially when you're dealing with coloring and you're told, as a kindergartner, maybe to color inside the lines and everything in your body wants to try to be perfect and color in those lines. And I'm here to tell you that that's not always the case. Sometimes we have to go outside the lines. So maybe on one of these eggs, we'll do some extra flair on the drawings just to add to it. Okay. So there's two sets. Let's see. Here, I'll show you where we're at right now before I keep coloring. So we got, look at that. Look at that pretty purple up on the top and the pink down below. It's just looking so nice. All right. We'll hang that up for a second. Grab some coffee. And we'll answer some random questions. Let's see if this will let me do something first. Okay, live chat. Let's see if that works. Okay, restore chat here. Wow, I'm learning all new things about what's all going on over here. Hopefully I'll be able to see your questions. It keeps going in and out. But as always, we have our sombrero questions as well. So answer a few questions before we get back to coloring. When have you felt most proud of yourself? I feel like I tried to answer this one before. I think one of the times I felt most proud about myself was when I graduated college. And not only did I graduate college, but I graduated college and already was getting ready to fly down to Texas to go for my first interview to become a youth pastor down there. It was definitely an adventure in itself. And I felt so proud because, it was, I don't know, it was a new experience. It was a chance to actually go out and achieve something that I truly had always wanted to do, thanks to a wonderful, mentor of mine growing up, my youth minister, Mary Lee. And to be able to kind of walk in her footsteps was very exciting. Also, when I did the Diary of Anne Frank in high school and played Otto Frank, that was definitely one of my proudest moments too, for many different reasons. Oh, if you're a type of bagel, what kind of bagel would you be? So I love bagels, but I also love pizza. So I would be a pizza bagel because, that's the best of both worlds. Not only are you having a bagel, but you're also having pizza, and that's truly the best thing. And that's what I have to say about that. Okay, next question. Oh, I think I've talked about this before. What's the first movie that made you laugh out loud, or LOL, as it says? First movie that made me laugh out loud. I remember seeing Flubber in theaters. I know I laughed out loud a lot for that one. I know I laughed. A lot of Robin Williams movies have made me laugh out loud. Hook even made me laugh out loud, which if you haven't gone back and watched Hook in a while, go back and watch it. It is super awesome. And I forgot that Dustin Hoffman's in it as Hook. And he does such a fantastic job. Definitely one to go back and watch. What song do you most associate with your childhood? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Big Mary Poppins fan. Love it. Always wanted to be Bert. One of my favorite songs, actually, other than Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, happens between Bert and Mr. Banks when Bert is cleaning up from the Step in Time song, and he's sitting there with Mr. Banks, and Mr. Banks is trying to figure out the chaos that has come into his life and why is everything so busy. And Bert reminds him, yes, but when you think you're supposed to be doing one thing, what are you missing out on? And especially as I get ready to be a dad, that's something that I think about all the time, is what do I want to make sure that I don't miss out on, even as I'm trying to do so many other things in life. Ooh. What era would you choose to live in if you could? That's a hard call because, right now is a great era to live in, minus, if you want, minus all the politics and everything else. It's a great era to live in because we do have some of the advances that we do. We have the advances in technology. We have all that kind of stuff. However, I would want to go back to at least a slightly simpler time, but still have like the medical knowledge to do things. So maybe like the 1960s and 70s, but like back when like baseball was still pretty much an awesome thing to go see and everybody was enjoying it. Would have been a great time to be a Mariners fan because they were losing so much. So I'm sure that tickets, were being sold at cost or cheaper. And I could have watched. There weren't a lot of greats back then, but would have still been a lot of fun. Go see the original sport we play in the Kingdom, aka soccer. For all those of you who don't know that, but yeah, I'm not sure. Sometimes simpler when having block parties was actually a thing for almost everybody. Let's see. If you could do something mischievous without anyone ever finding out, what would it be? If I could do something mischievous without anyone ever finding out, I would go and set up a cot in one of the suites at T-Mobile Park, or really in any baseball stadium, and sleep in the suite overnight, have breakfast there in the morning and whatnot, and look out over the field, and then just leave. I know that seems so silly, but when I was a kid, I used to believe that in the Kingdom, and I thought this was true at like every single baseball park, or really any place that had suites in it, because that first thing I thought of was hotel suites. And so I was like, so what you're telling me is I can get a suite at a ballpark, watch the game, go to sleep, and wake up still at the ballpark? As a child, that sounded fantastic. And to this day, I would say that still sounds fantastic. So, Seattle Mariners, if you would like to set up one of your suites as a suite, I would gladly stay in it. And I would stay in it for a whole weekend to watch a whole weekend of games. Literally, watch the game, finish the game, go to bed, wake up. Oh, look, the next day there's another game. Okay, watch the game, fall asleep, wake up. Oh, it's Sunday. It's a matinee game. Fantastic. And I'm out of there by 5. It sounds lovely. All right, last question. Then we're going to get back to some coloring. I think we've answered this one before. Which dead celebrity do you most identify with? It's a tough call. Also, who would we consider celebrities? Also tough call. If I could think of a celebrity that I most identify with that has passed away, I don't know, maybe either that's hard. Maybe like a famous musician? I don't know. Johann Sebastian Bach, because I have no other answers. Because he was German, he was Lutheran, and he wrote some of the craziest ballads basically to compete with the sermons. All right. That was the last question. We're going back to coloring. I think it's time to color the tulips. So let's see. We are going to color the tulips. Let's move. Oh, I do have a few more variants of coloring in my adult coloring pack, as I like to call it. I think, do we want to color them a different style of pink? Ooh. I like this. It's like a salmon color. Definitely, I would consider that salmon. Probably somebody's going to tell me it's like rosé. I don't know, but I'm calling it salmon. All right. We're going to do our tulips this color. Oh, or do we do our tulips all different colors? Okay, I'm doing the outer 2 tulips this color, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do with the other 2. Ooh, there's a question. Where do you start when you color? Some people start in the middle and they go out. Some people like to start around the edges. As I've grown older, I've found that I like to start on the edges and just kind of follow them around so that I kind of color, right there at the critical spots first. And then once I've kind of colored in all the edges, I'll go back and color in the middle. Because then if you go over just a little bit, you've already colored there and you don't go outside the lines. And for all you people that have a hard time staying inside the lines, maybe that's the best thing to do is just to, start do all the edges and then come back in, because I think that might allow for you, to have, a better chance of staying in the lines. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Right. Let's see where we're at. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. So, oh yeah, I was coloring the other one. I had to check something really quick, just to make sure. Okay, so we're gonna color this side, doing the same thing, coloring right next to the line first. The other thing I like about these pens is the angle. Do you see that? See how it's done? See how it's got that angle to it? I like it because I like to use that angle to do most of my coloring. But some people like to have that big block of like the Mr. Sketch markers. There. All right. So there's those two flowers. Let's see what else there is we can do. Let's try. Ooh. I have one of my students reorganize all my markers for me, and I don't want to get them disorganized again. Thank you, Julia, for organizing my markers. Let's see. I've already done a dark purple. I haven't done a yellow yet. Could I do a yellow? I could do a yellow. All right, we're going to do a yellow. And, oh, look at that color. That's a fun one. So we're going to do both of those colors. All right, here we go. Oh, I didn't even think about that. There's this. So if you can't see, I'll show you here in a little second. There's another littler, or it's not a littler flower. It's actually about the same size. But there's another flower down here as well. That maybe I have to think about what I'm going to do there. Okay, we'll start with this flower on this side. Ooh, I like this color. It's very much like a magenta. And not that weird T-Mobile magenta. I'm sorry, that is pink. This is magenta. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's one thing they decorate T-Mobile Park with their magenta everywhere. And for Mariners opening day, instead of having a red carpet, it's a magenta carpet. But we all know it's hot pink. Don't try to lie to us. Although those same people are probably the same people that would argue with me about what the color of salmon is. Okay, there's one. It's looking pretty. Let's do a second color. Okay, we're doing the yellow on this second one. Oh gosh. There we go. There we go. There we go. And then we go around the bell of the tulip. All right. Now, we've done both colors. Let's try. I have an idea. We're going to see if it works. I don't know. Could go terribly wrong, but we're about to find out. All right. I'm going to do. Okay. Okay. This definitely takes a little more patience, but I think it will turn out really fun. Or at least add a little bit different funkiness to it. I don't know. I don't know, folks. We're just, oh, I did. Oh, I see what I did there. Okay. Now, there's where I went wrong. I kind of got lost in my own creativity. That's okay. And we go there. And then we take this one and we go like this. Yeah. Ooh, do any of you have classic movies that you really enjoy that didn't come out during your time, but you are like, this is one of my favorite movies, even though I was not born when it first came out? Obviously, one of mine is Mary Poppins. The other one that I really enjoy is Singing in the Rain with Cary Grant. You know, his toes are roses, supposedly. Erroneously, Moses, he knows his toes are roses. Just that whole thing is just so silly, but it's so fun. And I think that's what's great about it. Also, you get to see Betty White as like young Betty White. As much as we know her as the goofy comedian that she is now in her older age, just her presence on stage and her beauty in the time and just the energy she brought to both of those leading actors was fantastic, and it really sold the rest of the show. All right, we're gonna color our leaves and our stems here. We still haven't figured out what color we're going to do the backdrop of that, but maybe we leave this part white and then we color in the rest. I don't know. Thoughts? Opinions? Who knows? Okay, we'll get this other one. Once we're done with this, we'll go ahead and I'll answer some more questions at random. Okay, and then we'll get this one. Oh no, I went outside the lines. Okay, so just to show you where we're at, folks, as we get ready to answer some more questions, we're looking so pretty. Isn't that nice? We got the colors. Yeah, see, it's different. It's fun, but that's why I love coloring, is because you make it your own. You make it yours, man. All right, so we're going to put that back up there for right now. We're going to answer some more of your questions and more random questions from the sombrero. Let's see what we've got. Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. Next question. What personality trait do you wish you could automatically adopt? So, like, I know from what people have said, they have said that I can be charismatic. I would like to be slightly more charismatic, or just slightly less, less nervous when I'm dealing with larger groups. Sorry, I'm dropping all of my questions on the floor out of my sombrero. Okay, let's see. Back to the questions. Oh, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is a good one. And it has Dick Van Dyke in it as well. The other movie that I really like, oddly enough, thinking about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang with Dick Van Dyke, is the one with Mr. Banks in it, and that's Bedknobs and Broomsticks. That's another classic that's really fun. What's the ugliest living creature you've ever encountered? Ugliest living creature I've ever encountered. Well, the ugliest living creature I've encountered at a zoo, I still have to say is a naked mole rat. Just not my favorite. They are ugly. Well, hello, Jen and the boys, and not Matt. All right, next one. What's the ugliest part of the human body? So I think the ugliest part of the human body is either it's one of two things. It's either an elbow, like when it's like just flattened, or when you have the extra skin, like I do. I have lots of extra skin, so it's kind of here. Yeah, see. So I think that's while I think it's funny and weird, I also think it's really gross and not my favorite part. It's not pretty, at least in my mind. Oh look, a blank question. Let's see. Ooh. What do you think about artificial intelligence? Well, I'm, very sad that it wasn't free range and organic intelligence. Artificial intelligence, I think, has both good traits and bad traits. I think we try to go back to, whose laws were they? Whose laws of robotics? Oh, it's going to bug me. I can't remember. I think there's a balance of using artificial intelligence to help us in things, but I think we can let it overtake ourselves too. So we have to be careful on how we use it. Here we go. Is there anything about yourself you've never told another soul? Yes. And there's the answer to that question. What I haven't told most people is while I do love going in, like when I was in high school and in college, I did a lot of musicals and I loved it and it was so much fun. That being said, I was scared to the bone before I got out on stage. And even like it wasn't until the production, like even that evening was over, that I would like slightly take a step down and be like, okay, I can calm down again. But I lived for that feeling. So there you go. Ooh, when is the last time you threw up and why? I think the last time I threw up was because I ate something funny. And that's why, because I ate something funny. When was it? I have no idea. Have you ever changed someone else's mind about something big? Well, I feel like this question is very relative because one, what is considered something big? Like, I mean, I don't think I've changed anybody's mind about, moving out of a different state, but, I might have changed someone's mind about whether or not they needed a new pair of $200 pants, which for some people that might be big. What's the most ridiculous thing you've ever done? Most ridiculous thing I've ever done. I feel like I did some ridiculous things when I was at scout camp, back when I was on staff, just as fun things, whether it was, I don't know. I have to think about the ridiculousness of things. I don't know if it was ridiculous enough. What are you looking forward to most right now? 2 things I am looking forward to the most right now. Number 1 is having my house fully done. It's getting closer. We hit a couple snags. As I was saying before, my door leading out into my yard was floating, and so that's all being replaced today. But hopefully, we are getting the drywallers to come in next week, which means we're that much closer to getting our house back, like fully to being our whole house, which I'm very excited about. Also, the other thing I'm looking forward to is the baby. Baby's going to be here in, what's today? Today is the 8th. So 17 days is the due date, which I think it's really funny that we give babies due dates. And then like my wife was 3 weeks early. I was 10 days late. So I don't know if we just need to communicate better with said baby about like, hey, I'm so glad you're here. So glad you're getting ready to come into the world. Just to let you know, This is the date in which you are supposed to arrive. We are hoping that you will fully arrive between the hours of 11 a.m. and 11 a.m. and 3 to give ourselves enough time to both see you and enjoy the fact that you are now in the world, but also give us times to rest. However, babies don't work like that. I keep telling people that, the problem is we don't give them a map in order to get out. I think that's why it's so hard. They get lost. Just makes sense. How would you spend $100 million? I answered this, I think, on my first video, but I would spend $100 million. One, I would pay off any and all my debts, and if I could help pay off family debts, I would as well. But then I would also put maybe $3 or $4 million aside just to be invested so I could retire with that. I wouldn't try to quit my job. I would try to either give most of it away or use it to help other people, and just make sure that I had enough to live comfortably. I wouldn't go off and buy some crazy big house or anything like that. Instead, I would just go and, try to live responsibly, but just add a few more small creature comforts, like a chocolate milk machine in my house. When have you felt happiest to be alive? When the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. Actually, no, there's probably been many days. When I got married, the day my baby comes, the day I learned we were going to have a baby. First time I was at the top of a mountain. That was also pretty awesome. So there's some pretty great times to feel happy. And just today, it's a gorgeous day outside here in Washington. It's 60 degrees. I'm probably going to go for a run for a little bit before I go home later. I just fully love, I don't know. It's a good time to be alive, even through a pandemic. What makes you lose track of time? A pandemic. A pandemic makes me lose track of time. Because all of a sudden you're like, oh, what day is it? Oh, it's a Tuesday? It's a Wednesday? I mean, I know what day it is because it's Coffee Wednesday. But that could be difficult to remember. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word fidget? The first thing that comes to mind when I hear the word fidget is either one of two things. Either fidgeting your thumbs, where you could spin your thumbs around each other. Can you switch directions really quick? I had to learn how to do this. It took a lot of time, which is kind of silly now because I can do it so fast. And also, those silly fidget spinners from 3 or 4 years ago, they came and they left, just like the Tamagotchi. And if you don't get that joke, kids, that means you were not a 90s child. Do you have skeletons in the closet? Several, because I love Halloween. What's your favorite color? It's teal or turquoise. I do also love blues and purples, but teal or turquoise is my favorite color, or as the Mariners now call it, Northwest green. Okay, one more question, then we'll do a little more coloring. What animal do you want to be reincarnated as? Emperor penguin would be pretty awesome, even though they do have to live in the cold. I just want to be able to slide around in my belly. Or I would love to come back as another sort of marsupial, maybe a panda or a koala. Those would be fun, even though both of their habitats are dying. So if we could do something about that, that'd be great. So when I'm reincarnated, I have a place to live. I think those are the key things you want to come back as. Maybe a starfish. That'd be fun. Okay, that was the last question. What would you want to come back as if you had to come back as an animal? Okay, let's see where we're at. So we need to color a lot more of this egg. I think, let's see, we did the green. Oh, I was thinking about what our color we could use for the stems. And I think I'm going to try a lighter seafoamy or green for the stems on the sides. This might not look seafoamy green to you in your cameras, but it is definitely seafoamy green to my eyes. And I don't think I'm colorblind. Okay. Ooh, I like that color. I wish I would have used it for something else. I probably still will. But it's such a nice color. It's definitely a lot more blue than I thought it was going to be. You know, I have to say that's one thing that's really awesome about color is it's not really binary. Because I look at this pen, and the way I look at this pen, even though it comes through the camera as slightly bluer, is it looks greener to me. And yet to someone else, it probably does look bluer. But there's no wrong answer because, you know, it doesn't matter what you think it is. There is a difference in the color. See? So it definitely came out bluer than I thought, but now the stems are done. Okay. Let's color in some of these other geometric shapes before we color in all the backgrounds. Oh, I got a lot more blues and greens to use and purples. What do you think? Do we do a darker color? Lighter color? I think we'll go darker. Okay. It doesn't look, we haven't used this one. I swear. It looks like one we've already used, but we haven't used it yet. This might be considered Merlot, maybe a nice Pinot Gris. Now, Pinot Noir. Pinot Gris is the white one. Is the white wine. All right, let's do this upper stripe. Ooh. Came out a little more brown than I thought it was going to. I will say, I have to give Bob Ross credit for something. And it might also be because I'm sitting down, but painting or even coloring like on a flat surface in front of you or front-ish of you and like trying to keep it all together is difficult. But as long as it makes you happy, just like Bob Ross would say, we all make happy mistakes, like happy trees. There we go. That angle. Oh, so pretty. Okay. So one thing I was thinking about today, and I would love to get your thoughts on it. So we were supposed to have a family movie night back in February before this whole, at the beginning of this whole pandemic. And unfortunately, we canceled because we were playing it safe at the time. And so I was really bummed because we didn't get to use the new popcorn machine we got at the church. But it got me thinking today, what are your other favorite movie snacks? So like for me, if I'm at the movies, I love one of two things other than popcorn. Popcorn by far, like, and my wife knows this about me. There are two things that I've had ever since growing up when I go to the movies. And then there's a couple other things that always get mixed in, like the candies. But the two things that I've always wanted is popcorn, sometimes with butter, sometimes not. Really depends on the day. And also a cherry Coke. Because for the longest time, cherry Coke, I was only allowed to have it like at the movies. And so it was such a treat to have a cherry Coke at the movies that I was always so excited for it. So needless to say, when I learned that Regal Cinemas went back to Pepsi products, I was a little sad because that means they're not serving cherry Coke. But if I'm looking for a candy when I'm at the movies, I love Milk Duds. I love Sour Patch Kids. And obviously, Red Vines is always a go-to. But I think those are my top three: Red Vines, Sour Patch Kids, and Milk Duds. Junior Mints are also good. The cookie dough bites that came out. I mean, now it's been a couple decades, but when those first came out, those were all the hit. Because who doesn't want to just eat cookie dough? Okay. Yes, there's definitely more red-brown than I would have imagined, but I like it. It'll be fun. It'll be a nice color. Okay, time for the bottom stripe, because I think I will keep this. Well, maybe not. Nope, deciding to change it again. Because we can, we're going to use this color in the corner to brighten it back up. Oh, I think I'm going to use this color. We're a very similar color. We're about to find out. Because the first color I used, the pink on those lower flowers, looked very similar to this, but it came out of the bin. So we'll find out if it's the same or not. Okay. Oh, it's a little different. Sides done first. It's a little more purple than pink, which is A-okay. It's such a pretty color. And will make for pretty eggs. How many of you have decorated eggs this year? Did you dye your own eggs? Do you dye eggs? Do you just color egg pictures? Do you use those eggs when you go Easter egg hunting in your backyard? We sometimes use them. Most of the time, Mom just used them as decoration around the house. But when I was in elementary school, the elementary school I went to, we actually learned how to do, oh no, now I'm going to forget what they're called. I have a friend who does it. My friend Pastor Pam does these kinds of eggs, and they're very popular in Russia. And now I'm going to have to look it up because I can't remember what they're called. They are called, I'm just going to Russian egg. Let's see, Russian egg. It is called Fabergé. If you've never done Fabergé is very interesting. So you dip the eggs, but before you dip the eggs, you actually use wax, and I forget what the element is to apply the wax, but like you apply the wax in like these intricate geometric shapes. And as you're applying the wax, each time you've applied one layer of wax, you then dip the egg in a different color. And then depending on what you've dipped and where you've dipped and when you put on the wax, those different colors will come through where the wax was. It is a super cool project and a super cool like art form. So if you've ever seen a Fabergé egg, or if you have Fabergé eggs, they're pretty awesome. It's a lot of fun. Oh, the bosses colored paper eggs the other day. That's perfect. That's what I'm doing now. Because for that same reason, for just to bring people joy as they're walking around their neighborhoods. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And just a way for us to connect as people during this time when, we're asked not to, connect with each other physically. But I haven't fully enjoyed the term social distancing, especially once, I had friends explain to me, because we can still be social together. We're being social now. I'm reading some of your wonderful comments. Thank you, Voss family, for yours. But we can be social through, obviously Zoom video conferencing has taken off. whether it's doing video chats with friends or it's doing, your physically distancing neighborhood, barbecues, if that's the way you want to do it, where each family sits in their driveway, like staying, you're 6+ feet away from each other, but you're all barbecuing together and, drinking together. Like, it's a chance for us to connect in a different way as humans, and probably in a way that we haven't connected in quite some time. But thanks to technology, we're able to continue to connect with folks even when we can't see them physically, which is really cool. All right, there are those colored in. I think I'm going to color in the dots. We got a lot of dots to color in. And then I'll come back. We got about 8 minutes or so left. Thank you for joining me today. This has been a lot of fun. I have enjoyed doing these the last couple of weeks. It's surprising how fast an hour goes. Last week, when I was baking cookies on last week's live episode, it was crazy, number one, to think how fast it was to bake 3 dozen cookies. But it was also crazy to think just how fast the hour went then, too, because I was up and active and moving around and doing things. But then at the same time, I felt like no time had passed. So thanks for being here. All right. So I'm once again using, this looks bluer than it is. It looks green, like turquoisey, tealy to me. So I'm going to color in these bottom dots here with it. So there's color. Okay, there's those ones. Then we'll choose a different color because we can. We got this light purple. Is light purple lavender? Is that what it is? I mean, I just call it light purple, but it is lavender, I guess. Or is lavender? No, the darker purple is definitely violet. You're turning violet, Violet. There's another classic film, Willy Wonka with Gene Wilder. I like the Johnny Depp version. It's weird. It's quirky. It's definitely Tim Burton, but nothing can surpass Gene Wilder. Also, the Willy Wonka, the tunnel scene in Gene Wilder's version definitely gave me nightmares. They're never slowing. They just keep rowing. Also, I'm bummed that that Charlie and the Glass Elevator never became a thing, because I really enjoyed that book when I was a kid. When I was in first grade, we read it in my class because we wanted to read something slightly different. I believe this is Periwinkle. And so we were super excited, and just like the weird aliens that show up, and just the traveling with like his grandparents still in the bed in the glass elevator was always one of my favorite things. And just that whole dynamic of all of them being together. Get these dots colored in. There we go. All right. Show you what we're looking at now. Now we got everything, all the main parts colored in. Obviously, we haven't colored the whole background, but it does look pretty nice. You see I use the turquoise on those lower little dots on the bottom, and then kind of comes up. But like I said, one of the favorite parts about coloring is you get to choose the color. As much as I love those color by numbers and things like that, on blank drawings like this, where you get to choose each and every color that you use, that's what makes it fun. As I said when I was coloring my dinosaur a couple of weeks ago, you get to choose whether or not your trees get to be green or whether your trees get to be purple. My mother-in-law, after watching one of these videos, came to me in my yard and was like, "Look, Bryant, look, it's a purple leaf." And it took me forever to realize what she was talking about. Because I was like, okay, great. It's a purple leaf. She goes, "You said that in your first video. You talked about how leaves can be purple." And I was like, "You're right. I did." And she successfully found one. So that was a lot of fun. All right. Back to our sombrero of random questions. Like I said, if you have a random question, you can always feel free to submit it and I can try to answer. What living celebrity do I most identify with? Definitely Ryan Reynolds. Only because he was the first name at the top of my head. I think last time I also said like Stephen Colbert. Yeah, I enjoy him. What's the last thing you did for just yourself? I went for a run, and it was glorious. And I'll probably go for a run after this, and it will also be glorious. What's the most disturbing thing you ever witnessed? I forget if I talked about. No, I definitely talked about this last time. But once again, it was when my buddy Brian Levenseller broke his wrist on a kickoff return my sophomore year in high school. It was definitely disturbing. Also, now looking back on it, there were parts of it that were funny, like him dealing with a physical therapist and stuff as they ran on the field, because they're asking like their basic questions, and he, used a word that I shouldn't be using here, but was like, what the heck do you think is wrong with my wrist? And it made all of us laugh, even though he was definitely in pain, unfortunately. Let's see. I've answered a bunch of these. Oh, what's your favorite joke? Okay. Here is my favorite bad joke. But it's always like Stina also says it all the time, and we're both pretty animated about it, but I'm going to do it slightly muted. So there were 2 muffins in an oven. The first muffin says, "Man, it's hot in here." And the second muffin says, "Ah, a talking muffin." But that's not the best part. So there were 2 ice cubes in a freezer. And the one ice cube says, "Man, it is cold in here." And the second ice cube says, "Ah, a talking ice cube." But here's the best part. There was a muffin and an ice cube in an oven. And the ice cube says, "Man, it is hot in here." And the muffin says, "Ah, a talking puddle." If you got it, good job. If you didn't get it, you'll get it when you're older. But it's just so silly. What makes you anxious? Waiting. Waiting makes me anxious. Since I've started helping to plan a lot of big events, and like the 24 to 48 hours leading up to like the doors opening for the event are the most anxious time for me, because you feel like you have all your ducks in a row. You think everything is going to go well, and you hope everything is going to go well. And for the most part, usually everything goes fine, but it always is just so nerve-wracking for me. Those moments of just like waiting there, like, are they going to agree with the decisions we made? Hopefully for them, so they will also enjoy this event. That's always just so difficult for me. Well, folks, it is 4:00. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for coloring with me. I will probably color these other ones either this evening or sometime in the next couple of days to add to my window. I'm so glad you were here. I'm so glad that we're getting through this all together. So go with the spirit of love and enjoy your coffee or your hot cocoa.